When people say that Splatoon has a lot of really cool weapons, what comes to your mind? Maybe something like the Squiffer, a weapon that is very well liked in the community. It has a fun, unique playstyle, a really good patch history, and one of the coolest kits in the game. Most people bring up examples like these, and don't get me wrong, this game has a lot of amazingly well designed weapons. But there is one that, despite being one of the oldest in the series, doesn't get anywhere near the amount of credit it deserves. That's right. The weapon I want to talk about today is the Vanilla Roller. Why it also has a fun, unique playstyle, and one of the best patch histories out of any weapon, and where it stands today. If you enjoy the video, feel free to subscribe, and let's cover my first point. What is Roller? Believe it or not, the Roller is actually a part of the Roller class of weapons, characterized by their slow, short-ranged attacks, with a strong, consistent one-shot. And being one of the first in its class, Roller tends to be a middle ground between Dynamo and Carbon. This applies to pretty much any of its stats. The damage is better than Carbon, but weaker than Dynamo. The speed, slower than Carbon, faster than Dynamo, etc. Now make no mistake, this does not make this a jack of all trades type weapon at all. Carbon is much better as a slayer, going for kills, and Dynamo is definitely a support, trying to paint and control space. The Vanilla Roller, like Carbon, leans very heavily into its ability to reliably one-shot people up close. This strength solidifies Roller as a slayer that likes to shark around a lot and surprises its opponents. Now, with this basic playstyle established, let's go into how Roller was at the start of Splatoon 1 and then go into its patch history. Not many people may remember, but rollers used to be very, very broken at the start of Splatoon 1. This was because you could just one-shot anyone that was within your range. No aiming required at all. Obviously, this made rollers very stupid, and it took nearly 5 months to get this fixed. In version 2.2.0, rollers were given one of their signature properties. You can only one-shot with the very center of the flick. This drastically raised the skill floor to use the weapon, and ever since then, rollers are actually a pretty aim-intensive weapon, despite the reputation that it has. And that are probably originated from the start of Splatoon 1. And that is basically it for Splatoon 1 patches. A very good change, but Splatoon 2 would opt for a much more quality of life style of patches. I don't want to talk about Splatoon 2 for too long since Roller got so many changes, but they were all great changes. Just to list a few, all rollers were given a vertical flick, something I'll talk about later. The rolling attack now sped up after a while, cool. They could now roll at full speed over grates, because that actually wasn't a thing in Splatoon 1. Very weird. Lots of small changes that made Roller feel much better to use, but didn't really change much else. But in Splatoon 3, however, Roller got a lot more noticeable changes. Better damage range, more consistent damage. Yeah, those are some huge buffs. Now, I'll talk about what made these buffs necessary when I get to the kits, but for now, it's worth noting that the patch history for this weapon was very, very good. Splatoon 1 actually fixed it, Splatoon 2 improved its user experience, and Splatoon 3 improved its balancing. Not much more you can really ask for. Now, all these changes are really good, but part of what makes a weapon fun to a lot of people are its kit. If a weapon has an underwhelming kit, that probably won't be as well liked. And yeah, this is kind of where Roller hasn't gotten so lucky in the past. Remember, Roller really likes to play around sharking and getting kills. And its first kit in Splatoon 1 was okay, I guess. It had Suction Bomb and Killer Whale, a kit that definitely leaned more into a defensive, supportive playstyle. Not exactly the most synergistic kit, but not a terrible one either. Unfortunately, this also is kind of the best kit it has in this game. The Krakon kit had Beacon Kraken, which was okay because Kraken was broken, and not really much else. As will be a recurring theme in its kit history, Beacon just does not work for this weapon at all. It does not help it with sharking, it doesn't help it with killing or staying alive, or anything that Roller wants to play towards. And spoiler alert, its third kit is arguably the single worst kit that any weapon has ever gotten. Wall is even worse for it than Beacon, given its lack of range, and Zuka would be okay if it wasn't 220p on a bad painting weapon, and heavy depletion on a weapon that dies often and has no bomb. So in other words, you don't have a special. And heck, you barely even have a kit. So while the main weapon was okay in this game, the terrible kit design meant it would basically never see any form of competitive play throughout the game, and is still commonly regarded as easily the worst roller in this class. And then Splatoon 2 came out, and Roller's first kit was actually pretty interesting with the curling bomb. And yeah, it's definitely the best sub for this weapon. It helps it paint for itself, it gives it a bit of poking power, is an excellent mind game tool, just a really good sub all around. Wow, this kit is off to such a great start. Let's not even worry about the special. I'm sure it'll be it has splashdown, the worst special in the game, so using it would just get you killed. Yeah, now that sucks, but it's okay. You have two other kits, right? Yeah, kind of. There's the returning crack on with Beacon, enough said. Only difference here is that it doesn't have a broken special to save it. And in all honesty, the third kit is okay. It has Splat Bomb Bubble Blower, but not having a movement tool just really hurts its viability. And since bubbles don't really help the weapon or have much synergy, the kit kind of got forgotten about, similar to the first Splatoon 1 kit. And to be honest, the kits it got in Splatoon 2 were more or less irrelevant, since the meta at the end of its lifespan included armor, which took away Roller's one shot, making any kind of engagement completely impossible. It also had missiles, which gave away your location, forced you to reposition constantly, and could be spammed a ridiculous amount, making Roller's sharking playstyle basically impossible. But now we get into Splatoon 3, and right off the bat, we have the best kit it has ever gotten, with curling, great for all the same reasons as before. Except now, it only costs 65% of your ink tank instead of 70. And Big Bubbler, a special that perfectly fits with Roller's sharking playstyle and can serve as a stabilizer, holding any space that you gain from kills, as well as forcing people to back away and reposition. And this is what makes Roller's kit so much more fun to use. Yes, it's a better kit than it's ever gotten, but it's also a much more flexible kit that enables multiple playstyles at once. You can use Curling Bomb for yourself, or you can use it to paint, break objects, or poke. You can use Bubbles selfishly, or you can use it to protect your team, to guard the tower at a checkpoint, to stop an ink fact shot. Roller Splatoon 3 kit gives you more options, more ways to express your skill and playstyle. This is the power of a strong, well-designed kit. And with Roller being in the best spot it's ever been in, I thought that it would be a good time to reflect on how this weapon came to be what it is now, and one of the most unique slayers in the game. To wrap up this video, I think Roller is a really interesting case of Nintendo changing a weapon in a really smart way, from start to finish. While it may not be as popular as something like the Squiffer, I think Roller still has a lot going for it. It's nice to see one of the series' oldest weapons getting such a glow up in Splatoon 3. I'm really curious to see just how far people can push this weapon. It really is one of the best ever designed. Thank you so much for watching.